Here's a control valve assembly, and it's actually the heart of the power steering rack. It basically takes the input fluid, and according to the input direction of the shaft is moving, it will direct it to the correct side of the rack to give you assist in that direction. And we can see this control valve assembly. On the inside of this housing we have this really cool roller bearing. So this is the control valve housing. We've got the hydraulic lines that run from the car on this side and from the rack on this side, and you can see the holes drilled on the inside there where it meshes with the control valve itself. So if we take a closer look at how this control valve is set up inside of its housing here, you can see that the high pressure line corresponds to this larger hole here where fluid can enter here. The low pressure line that goes back to the reservoir will get fluid from over here near the top, and then we've got the two left side and right side lines that take fluid from this side and this side here respectively. Now there's actually a snap ring here that I'm going to remove, and then now I can pull off this bushing housing here. When the input shaft rotates relative to the output shaft, they're not exactly directly linked. Inside of here there's a little torsion bar that'll twist. So if I take a pair of pliers and vice grips and I try to move this, you can see how the input shaft is moving relative to the output shaft. See that? And that's the torsion bar moving on the inside.
Shaft and the pinion gear. It consists of an inner member, which forms part of the input shaft, and a surrounding sleeve member, fixed to the pinion gear. Turning the steering wheels makes both members rotate in the steering gear housing, but it is the slight relative rotary displacement of the inner member and the sleeve member which controls and directs the power steering fluid flow. This slight rotary displacement is allowed by a torsion bar, which is connected to the pinion gear at its bottom end and the input shaft at its top end. When the steering wheel is turned, there is resistance from the front wheels at the road surface. This resistance is transmitted through the rack to the pinion gear so that the input shaft twists slightly on the torsion bar. Since the inner member is also attached to the input shaft, this twisting provides a relative rotary displacement of the inner and outer members. The input shaft can twist through only a small angle before it contacts a stop on the pinion gear. This is needed to provide manual steering when power assistance is not available. With the engine running and the steering in the neutral position, fluid flow is directed into the valve assembly through drilled holes in the outer sleeve. As soon as the steering is turned to the left or right, the slight relative movement occurs between the inner and outer members.
Tres elementos activos se encuentran en esta válvula. El eje giratorio solidario de la columna de dirección recibe mecanizados que permiten la selección en la distribución del aceite. La camisa solidaria de la cremallera de dirección presenta gargantas aisladas por las juntas teflón, así como orificios de alimentación o de distribución. Finalmente, una barra de torsión realiza una conexión mecánica entre eje y camisa. Examinemos el funcionamiento de esta válvula.